Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're tackling a really interesting problem called pyramid transition matrix. It sounds a bit technical, but it's actually like solving a puzzle with building blocks. We need to figure out if we can build a pyramid all the way to the top, following a very specific set of rules. I'll break it down step by step, so don't worry if the name sounds intimidating. First, let's understand the goal. We are given the bottom row of a pyramid, which is just a string of letters. We are also given a list of allowed patterns. Each pattern tells us that if we have two specific blocks side by side, say a left block and a right block, we are allowed to place a specific top block on them. Our job is to return true if we can build the pyramid all the way up to a single block at the peak, and false if we get stuck. Let's walk through an example to see how this works practically. Suppose our bottom row is BCD. To build the next row up, we look at pairs of adjacent blocks. First, we have B and C. We check our allowed list. We see the pattern BCC. This means C can go on top of B and C. Great. Next we look at the pair C and D. The list has CDE, meaning E can go on top. So for the second level we can form the row CE. Now we repeat the process for this new row. We have C and E. Is there a pattern for that? Yes. CEA means A can go on top. We've reached the top with a single block A. Since we successfully built the whole thing, we return true. Just a quick heads up, we'll be walking through the logic and solution using Python, because it's really readable for this kind of recursion. But don't worry if that's not your main language. I'll be showing the full code for Java, C++ and JavaScript towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. The editorial mentions a first approach using state-to-state transition, often implemented with bit manipulation. The idea is to represent each row as a state, and check if we can transition to a valid parent state. It looks clever and efficient. However, the editorial explicitly marks this as a wrong answer. Why? Because it assumes transitions are independent. In reality, when you pick a block for a specific spot, it acts as the right support for one triangle and the left support for the next triangle. This shared dependency means we can't just check bits independently. It's a classic trap, so be careful not to oversimplify the dependencies here. Before we get into the correct solution, let's talk about the real reason people fail at Leetcode. It's not because they can't reverse a linked list, it's because they break their daily streak. I built my daily to-do specifically to solve this. You can set Solve Daily Leetcode as a routine task. This means it reminds you to complete your routine tasks every day. It's a dedicated system to force you to be consistent, which I also use to remind myself to upload these videos every day. If you're watching this channel, you're trying to improve, so this tool makes sure you actually show up to do it. I also want to be 100% transparent about how this app will grow. I am an indie developer, not a big corporation. I will never take away a free feature you already use. Core features like repeating tasks remain free forever. However, as I add new server-heavy features, they will be part of the premium plan to help cover the costs of running the app. Also, the price of premium will go up every time I ship a major new feature, so the best time to get involved is right now, while it's early. Check it out at the link in the description. Okay, let's jump to the solution that actually works. So the correct way to solve this is using depth-first search, or DFS. Think of it as exploring a maze. We start at the bottom row. We figure out all possible options for the row above it. Maybe there are multiple choices for a single block. We try one choice and see if it leads to the top. If we get stuck, meaning we reach a row where two blocks have no allowed parent, we backtrack and try a different choice. This exhaustive search guarantees that if a solution exists, we will find it. To make this fast, we first convert our allowed list into a map, so we can instantly check what blocks can sit on top of any pair. Before we code the recursion, let's visualize the data structure. The input gives us strings like BCC. We need to turn this into something useful. We'll create a dictionary where the key is the pair of bottom blocks, the left and the right, and the value is a list of all possible top blocks. So BCC becomes an entry where key B, C points to a list containing C. If we had another pattern BCF, the list would contain both C and F. This map lets us instantly answer the question, I have a B and a C, what can I put on top? Here is the complete Python solution for the DFS approach. It might look a bit dense, but the logic is straightforward. We build our map, define a recursive function called solve, and use memoization to remember rows we've already checked, so we don't repeat work. Let's break this down into smaller chunks to really understand what's happening. First, we initialize our transition map T. We iterate through every string in the allowed list. For each string, we take the first character as the left block, and the second character as the right block. These form our key. The third character is the valid top block, so we append it to the list of possibilities for that pair. This gives us our fast lookup table. Inside our solve function, we look at the current row. We need to figure out what the next row could look like. We loop through the current row, looking at each adjacent pair of blocks. For each pair, we check our map T. If the pair exists in the map, we add the list of possible top blocks to our options list. However, if we find a pair that isn't in the map, it means there is no block allowed to sit there. We've hit a dead end. In that case, we mark this row as a failure and return false immediately. This is the clever part. Our options list contains a list of possibilities for each position in the new row. For example, the first spot might allow A or B, and the second spot might allow only C. We need to try all combinations of these to form complete candidate rows. We use iter-tools.product to generate every valid combination for the next row. For each combination, we stick the characters together to make a string, and then recursively call solve on this new row. If any of these recursive calls returns true, it means we found a path to the top. There are a few edge cases and optimizations to keep in mind. First, dead ends. As we saw, if any pair in a row has no parent, the whole row is invalid. Our code handles this by returning false early. Second, branching. Sometimes a pair can support multiple different blocks. Our use of the product function ensures we explore every single valid combination. Finally, memoization. We use a dictionary called memo to store results. If we encounter a row configuration we've seen before, we just return the stored result instead of recalculating everything. This is crucial for performance. So how fast is this solution? The time complexity is formally big O of a to the power of n squared, where a is the size of our alphabet, and n is the length of the bottom row. This is because in the worst case, we might explore a massive number of combinations. However, with memoization and realistic constraints, it runs quite fast. The space complexity is big O of n squared, mainly to store our recursion stack and the memoization table. Alright, that covers the deep dive in Python. As promised, for those of you who code in other languages, I'm about to show the full solutions for Java, C++, and JavaScript. I won't be breaking these down line by line, so just pause the video on your language of choice to check it out. Alright, as promised, here is the full solution in Java. Notice that in Java, we often use a helper function to build the next row recursively character by character, rather than generating all combinations at once. You can pause here to study the implementation. Next up, here is the C++ version. It uses a similar structure with an unordered map for transitions and a helper backtracking function to generate the next row. Feel free to pause and review the code. And finally, here is the solution in JavaScript. We use maps for efficient lookups and a nested helper function to handle the generation of the next row. Hopefully, seeing it in a few different languages helps solidify the concepts. So let's wrap it up. We learned that we can't just check bits independently, because blocks share neighbors. Instead, we use depth-first search to simulate building the pyramid row by row. We also saw how crucial memoization is. Without it, we'd be solving the same subproblems over and over again. Also, if you're looking for even more Leetcode problems beyond the daily challenge, I've started a second channel called Leetcode Unlocked. It's where I'll be posting solutions to a ton of other problems. So if you're serious about your interview prep, be sure to check it out. The link is in the description below. Hope this Leetcode solution breakdown made sense. If it helped, give that like button a click, maybe subscribe for more, or drop a comment if you have questions. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you know straight away when I upload a video, because I upload videos daily. If you want to support the channel, I've put affiliate links in the description to the tablet I use and a few other good options. Or if you're feeling generous, there's always the Boba Fund. Keep coding, and I'll catch you in the next one.